Hey, and a very warm welcome to the Into the LightWeb Podcast with me, your hostess, Joanna Hunter, metaphysical teacher, spiritual life and business coach, published author, and the high priestess of the LightWeb, a spiritual technology that will change your life. This is the place to be to talk everything under the LightWeb, from consciousness, relationships, to money, to spiritual business, and everything in between. Hello, 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 a warm welcome. Come and jump in. Come and say hi in the comments. If you are just jumping on, then come and say hi in the comments. If you are watching on Facebook, then come and say hi in the comments. Come and let us know if you're watching live. So just welcoming you all on board. So I'm just checking I'm in the right place. Magic. Looks like I am where I'm supposed to be. So that's always good. So who have we got here? We've got Joanne. Good morning. Good morning, Lena. Or good afternoon. You're in Stockholm. Oh, my home city. Gretchen is in Toronto, so she will be, I think, morning there, or maybe just early afternoon. And Keely is here. We've got Jen from Team Hunter. I'm back in my office after being away for a whole weekend. I left on Friday, so I'm literally just back in the door a few hours. So I'm excited to jump on today and do the transmission of light. I had a wonderful weekend. It was really, really nice. I was absolutely spoiled rotten. I arrived in Northern Ireland, and Paul had hired a really amazing suite for us at the hotel, which was amazing. And when I arrived, there was a big bouquet of flowers. And then my best friend picked me up and treated me to a massage and took me to a place to go and get a massage. So, oh my goodness, I felt so special, so VIP the whole weekend. It was absolutely lovely. And then on yesterday, my 2 books arrived at my best friend's house. So my brand new journals arrived. So the 111 Magic Journal and the Gratitude Journal, both of those arrived. So I was able to do my first signed copies to my best friend, which was really lovely. So I gifted her a set of those, which was so, so lovely. Charmaine saying my 2 journals arrived about 10 minutes ago. Yay! Oh my goodness. So good. Well, I hope you love them, Charmaine. There was a lot of love poured into them. So today I was tuning into spirit and really thinking about what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, or what I wanted to pull through in the transmission of light today. And after just such a really beautiful, amazing weekend, I wanted to really just talk about kind of how did I go from living on welfare, really struggling to get by, to creating a life that just feels beyond my wildest dreams. And how did I make those leaps? How did I make those leaps? And to get you kind of interacting in this as well, to make the leaps. And there are definitely some highlights in that journey that really helped me to make those kind of quantum leaps, if you like. One of the first things that I want to really talk about is that the universe will meet you where you're willing to meet yourself. Okay. So when we are too afraid to do something, when we're too afraid to make a move, we're too afraid to make a leap, then the universe will mirror that fear to us. And will meet us at that lower level. And there is times where you know where you want to take the leap, or you know you want to do the thing, and it makes no sense whatsoever. So I want to talk to you about a time that made absolutely no sense whatsoever for me. So I just before my 40th birthday, I found myself homeless with 3 children, hubby, a cat and a dog. And I call myself lucky bitch homeless because I ended up living at my mum's. But the truth was, we had no house lining up, and we had no money either. We'd given notice, we'd been in a kind of very strange housing situation. And our landlady that we had, who was our landlady at the time, we didn't realize that when we moved in, had actually quite serious mental problems. And it wasn't until we'd been there for a while that became very apparent. And in the end, I didn't feel safe in my own home, basically. So then we gave 2 months notice. We thought, no problems, we'll find somewhere else to live in 2 months. It was a bit of a wing and a prayer, but we didn't find somewhere else to live in the 2 months. And worse yet, the stress of moving. At that time, I was still struggling with a lot of health things. So the stress of moving, all my ill health began manifesting again. So I was like, stressed to the max, no house, no money coming in because I wasn't really working. And then, so I ended up moving in with my mum. And this was the backdrop of my first book launch. So in 2014, in December of 2014, I had said, I'd been asked by my guides to write my first book, which is called Get Selfish, The Way Is Through. And I'd been asked by my guides to write this book. And when I first was asked to write this book, I said to them, don't be ridiculous. English is not my first language. I have dyslexia. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to write a book. Like, it's just not going to happen. But the idea just never left me, and it kept picking away. And kind of 7 years later, I decided in the December of 2014, fuck it, let's just do it. So I sat down and I gathered all the things that I'd written, little bits that I'd written, and started bringing it all together into a book and into a document. And in July of 2015, I launched my first book, Get Selfish, The Way Is Through, which was my healing journey. And it had become my healing journey, and the journey that I went on to heal from multiple organ failure, and how I began to heal my primary relationship, the relationship I'm having with myself. Now, everybody has a primary relationship, and your primary relationship is always with yourself. But how that relationship is going for you is how your source connection is going for you, and how your relationship will be with everything else that you connect with. So your primary relationship impacts your relationship, all other relationships that you have, whether romantic, friendships, work colleagues, whatever you have, is impacted by your primary relationship, the relationship that you have with yourself. Next up, that's affected by your primary relationship is your relationship to worldly goods and money. So things like your home, things like money, things like that. These are all connected. So Get Selfish was my book that I'd written in when I had begun to really, really heal that relationship. And yet here I was, and I had one foot in this world of my book, of the new life that I was working on creating and manifesting for myself. And then I had one foot in what legit looked like a shit show. because I was coming up 40. I was homeless. Who does that? Like who does that when they've got kids and stuff? Who can, and I was really hard on myself, and I was going through all of the emotions of all of it. And I had one foot in this world that didn't quite exist yet because I was birthing it. I was bringing it forward. And then I had one foot in aka the real world, and it didn't look very good. It was like, dude, you're homeless and you have no money, and we're not really sure where the next lot of money is going to come from and things like that. So it was hard and it was difficult at the time, but I kept the faith. And faith is a down payment that you make on your dreams. Faith is a down payment that you make on your dreams. And I did something really, really insane. So I had a really, really good book launch, and I sold loads of copies of my book on my book launch, which is great because it meant that we had a deposit for a new house, a new home. But I didn't use that money to buy a new house or to put a deposit on a new house or a new home. I used that money to invest in a course and make an investment for my future. And I can honestly tell you that it was an amazing investment, but it was one of the scariest, most terrifying, most frightening things that I've ever done for myself. But it was also a very, very strong declaration to the universe that I was done playing small. And it was a big and bold move. And everybody is capable of making one of those big and bold moves that makes no sense on paper. And those big and bold moves, they lead to quantum leaps within our world. Now, Skylar teaches that quantum leaps aren't really real. They're an illusion. They appear to be real, and the effects seem very real, but they are an illusion because all energy moves in increments. But when you're willing to take a kind of bigger leap than you would have taken before, or do something that really terrifies you. And I knew in my heart what I needed to do. And I knew that I wanted to get to the next level in life. And I knew that the first big bold move that I've done was publishing a book. And I was ready for the next step, basically. I was ready for that next step. I was ready to take that next increment. And I decided that, if the universe was a reflection of me, what could I do on my end to do something that was really, really brave? And what would set a standard in which the universe would meet me at this much, much higher standard. And I decided to do something that I'd never really done before, which was to put all my chips on the table and to go all in on myself. And I decided to go all in on me. So, and at the time, it felt like a gamble. And depending on where you are in your own journey, it will perhaps feel like a gamble to go all in on yourself. Now, looking back on hindsight, I realized it was the smartest move I'd ever made, because you're not going to let yourself down. The reason it might feel like going all in and investing in yourself, and it is an investment, and investing in yourself is because you're afraid that it's going to be a gamble. But I want you just to take a moment right here and right now and just take a deep breath. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And I want you just to think, are you going to purposely let yourself down? Just feel into that. Are you actually going to purposely let yourself down? Let me know in the comments. Would you actually purposely let yourself down? So no, of course you wouldn't. And yet we come up against this wall of fear when it comes to making bold moves, investing in ourselves, taking the next step, taking the next thing, doing the next thing, it feels scary. It feels frightening. It feels like, I think my stomach just did a somersault. Stress-inducing almost. But if we really, really strip it all back and really feel into our own energy, are we going to purposely let ourselves down? No. And here's another reason why I was willing to do something so crazy, especially in the circumstances that I was in, was if you've always done what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. So if you are in the market for change in your life, in your business, in your personal life, if you are in the market for change, you have to be willing to do something you've never done before. Because otherwise, if you're just showing up each day, doing the same thing as you've always done, don't be surprised when you always get what you've always gotten. And it was that motivated me. And I thought, well, I've never invested big money in myself. I've never done that. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go for it. I'm going to invest in myself. I'm gonna show up for myself. I'm going to invest in myself. But here's the thing that we are conditioned to believe. We believe that there is success and there's failure. We believe that there is success and there's failure, right? But here's the thing. There is no such thing as failure. There is the illusion of failure. In order for failure to be real, we have to have the equation of time. So let me know in the comments if you are building a business, right? Let me know in the comments if you are building a business. That's part of what you're doing. So loads of you building a business here, right? Like, here's the thing. As long as you keep going, you cannot fail. The only reason that you have the illusion, sometimes within that, of failure is because you applied time to the equation. And you were like, well, it's been a year and I'm not a zillionaire, or it's been 2 years and I'm not a zillionaire, and oh my goodness, and that means I must have failed. But you're not. As long as there's breath in your lungs, and as long as we are creating some type of forward momentum in the fact that we are learning each step of the way, and each year we just get a little bit better, and each way we keep going, each way we keep stepping forward. So as long as there is no such thing as failure. And so what if right here, right now, you decided to give up on the notion of failure? I saw here, Sheila says she felt that she's let herself down unconsciously. But here's the thing. Have you let yourself down unconsciously, or have you perhaps found a way that didn't work for you? What's more true? Because I don't think that we let ourselves down on purpose. I don't think that we choose that. I think that we learn ways that work and ways that don't work. And when we start to apply that to the here and the now, ways that work and ways that don't work, that's when we start to unfold magic. That's when we start to unfold really, really big magic in our lives. We give up in the notion that there's such a thing as failure, and that you're just willing to keep going. When I spoke to millionaires in the $1 Million Experiment, I had so much fun interviewing like so many millionaires, self-made millionaires, self-made multiple 7-figures and 6-figure business owner, or multiple 7-figure and 8-figure business owners. That's what I interviewed for the $1 Million Experiment. And I had a lot of fun. And let me tell you, the thing that came back from the data over and over and over and over again was determination. Just a determination. And I will not take no for an answer. I will not take no for an answer, and I'm just going to keep going. That determination, and I won't take no for an answer, and I will just keep going. It came back again and again and again, the amount of people. Was there the illusion of failure in those millionaires? Sure, they had had their fair share of that. But here's the thing, every single one of them had gotten to a level of mindset or a level of consciousness where they were like, yeah, but there's no such thing really as failure if you just keep going. You're just willing to keep going. There's really like, how can you fail? Because you're like, you're not done yet. Failure is a finality. And if you're not done yet, then you've never failed. So I want you just to sit with that for a second. I want you just to sit and marinate in that. If you are not done yet, you have never failed. What does that do for you? Let me know in the comments. How does that start to shift things for you? Cassie's saying she loves that reframe. And Sheila's saying so powerful, it makes sense. Once it sinks in, it makes perfect sense. So if we're not done yet, we've never failed. So why are we telling the want story, right? Because all we're doing is chipping away at our own psyche. All we're doing is literally fucking our relationship with ourselves. We're like at ourselves, like chipping away, picking away, wondering why then we feel like we've got a sore spot because we've been picking at ourselves. So back in 2015, I put all my chips on the table. I went all in on Joanna. It felt like gambling. It felt like a bet. I realize now in hindsight, it was not gambling. It was not a bet. All I had to do was just keep going. Just show up and just keep going. That was it. And so that began this journey that I've been on since then. And it's been an epic journey. Absolutely epic. And I'm not, the unsugar-coated version is that it wasn't always rosy in the garden. It wasn't always easy. But I kept showing up and I kept believing in what it is I had to give to the world. And even when I didn't really know what it was that I had to give to the world. Anybody in that boat? That you know that you've got something to give to the world, but you're not quite sure that you've nailed that message, or you're not quite sure what that is. Let me know in the comments. Because isn't that a funny thing, that you're not really sure, right? You're not really sure, but there's some good stuff in there, but you just don't really know what that might be fully, wholly, completely. So the next reframe that I have for you is that the road grows you. You don't need all the answers to start the journey. You don't need all the answers to be all in on yourself. You don't need all the answers to start the journey. So Cassie here is saying, I find it hard to articulate the value I bring, although I have tons of testimonials. And Sheila here is saying, passing on the message to others is where I fall down. What would be a reframe for that, Sheila? Have a little think about that. What would be a reframe? How could you reframe that? One of the big things that I found on this journey is that the universe is literally a giant mirror to you. So when you tell it something like, that's where I fall down, that's where you will always fall down. That's where the hurdle will always be. But once I when I took failure out of the equation, it was like the universe removed failure from my world. Before, I was fully paid up member to the failure club. I was like, oh God, I'm just really doing so badly at this. I'm failing so badly. And that was the story. And of course, I kept seeing that mirrored into my life because that was the story that I told. But once I started realizing, like, if I'm still going, how have I failed? We're not there yet. We haven't arrived at some sort of mythical point in the journey and said, okay, well, you've arrived now, and let's look at the scores on the doors. And sorry, you didn't make it. But the thing was, I'm still on the journey. I was still going. So how could I have failed at that point? So then when I decided, as long as there's breath in my lungs, I'll never fail at anything, as long as I'm willing to keep trying. And as soon as I made that choice, it was really funny how failure kind of disappeared out of my world. And I've seen that time and time again with my VIP clients. They've made these reframes. They've made these things. What about something like, people are open to the message that I have, Sheila? Because remember, if the universe is taking its cues from you, what is it that you're telling it? And are the things that you are telling the universe doing you favors, or are they shooting you in the foot? Have a little think about that. Is what you're telling the universe, or your thoughts that you have on a consistent and regular basis, are they doing you a favor, or are they shooting you in the foot? So Cassie's saying, I'm always showing up and sharing my value. Amazing, right? In my gratitude journal, one of my absolute favorite affirmations is in here, and it's a really powerful affirmation. If you're not crystal clear on your message, if you are not crystal clear on the unfoldment of your business, you're not crystal clear, but you want to get paid. This is my favorite affirmation for getting paid. I get paid for being me. That's it. I get paid for being me. That is the one thing in this world that you absolutely cannot fuck up. Because no one else can be more you than you. Right? So I get paid for being me. I remember when that affirmation came online for me. So I always see affirmations as programs, and you start to run the program. And then after a while, the program comes online. And when it comes online, it becomes like your reality. So I was sitting in my office one day, and I get this strange phone call. And first of all, it was the Highland Council. And I'm thinking in my head, we don't owe you any money. That was my first thought. I thought it was maybe something to do with council tax. I thought, we don't owe you any money. I'm sure we're up to date with our council tax. So they're like, hello, is this Mrs. Hunter? And I was like, yeah. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what is this, And I'm racking my brains to think, is there anything, like, is there a charge from the council that we have not paid? And I'm thinking, no, I'm up to date, and then they said, do you do crafts? And I thought, I was like, well, like what? And they were like paper crafts, card making and things like that. And I thought, yeah. yeah, I do. And I'm thinking, and then I was like, well, what's this about? Because I thought this is such a weird question. So they said, oh, we're looking for a teacher that can teach 13 weeks and a session that lasts 13 weeks and once a week teach a craft group. And your name was put forward and you were recommended. And I thought, well, I've taught workshops in the past, but I said, I've never taught workshops on crafts or crafting and things like that. But I sell my crafts. So, I mean, they're good enough to sell. So I'm sure I could teach others to do it. So as long as you're okay with that, yeah, I'd be quite happy to consider a job like that. And so it was amazing because I got paid 3 hours a week, 2 hours teaching, 1 hour prep. I got a really, really big budget for buying craft materials, and anything I didn't use, I got to keep. And I got to design the classes exactly as I wanted and do whatever I wanted in the classes, which was really, really awesome. And all I had to do is show up for 2 hours every week and teach this workshop to a group of the loveliest, really, really lovely human beings. To get them out of their houses, elderly women, to get them out of their houses. And we used to sit and have a cup of tea and make something. At the end of the 2 hours, we'd always go home with something that we'd made. And it was amazing and I loved it. And I ended up actually doing 2 years of that. But when I came off the phone call, my husband was like, oh my God, what was that all about? And I spun around in my little office chair and I went, I get paid for being me. And I realized that that was you know, something. And at that time, it was really, really welcomed. That money was really welcomed into our household at that time as well, because it was perfect. I got paid very, very well. And I loved doing it. It was so fun. And again, it was just working with the affirmation of I get paid for being me. And there was a completely out of the blue, unexpected job. Ended up doing it for 2 years. And the nice thing was I was self-employed, so all I had to do was bill the Highland Council, and the Highland Council would pay me to come and teach these workshops and things like that. And then they paid me to teach like one-off workshops and things, and I loved it. So this is, you know, working with things like affirmations and deciding to kind of go all in on yourself and to create, you know, what would it take to create an unlimited life? One of the other things, as we're moving forward in this journey of like what's helped me, so going all in on myself, that was the first thing. Getting rid of this notion of failure, like if you hadn't arrived within a certain amount of time, that somehow you've messed it up or somehow you've effed it up. You haven't, you're still going. So if you're still going, there's no failure. The next aspect, I think, that was really powerful in shifting my mindset, if you like, is something that Skylar teaches, and it is possibly the most annoying piece of advice that they've ever given me, and yet also the most true piece of advice they've ever given me. You're not ready till you're ready. And it's very, very annoying, because what the fuck does that actually mean? And they'll say, well, you're not ready till you're ready. And I think, but what does that mean? Yes, but you're not ready till you're ready. And before, I used to wonder why I wasn't getting a result. Maybe a result hasn't shown up fast enough, or it was there enough for me, or quick enough for me. And then I would start to realize, well, you're not ready till you're ready. And so the number one question that I get asked by clients and students and people on the internet is, how did you do that? So if I have like if I share a big monetary result, or I share something, or I onboard a lot of clients all at once, people will say, well, how did you do that? How did you do that? I'm going to share something with you. It's possibly the worst question to ask, because the how is not actually really that important. And a lot of people are like, what? but surely you need to give me the step-by-step process. But here's the thing. I can give 50 people the step-by-step process, and all 50 people can go and do that. And yet some will be successful and some will, by all accounts, within that time frame, look like they haven't done it. And so what is that? If they're all following the steps and some are doing it and some are not doing it, what's going on there? And the thing is, here's where you're not ready till you're ready comes through. So if you want to get a result in life, or you're looking for a result in life, we begin to ask, a better question to ask is, what would make me ready for that result? What would make me ready for that result? So what would make me ready? So if you want to earn 100,000 a year, for instance, and that's not where you are at the moment, and you want to code for that and bring that in, running around the internet looking for the how is most likely not going to help you. What's going to help you is asking the question, how could I be ready for that? How could I be ready for that? Can you feel the difference in the question between the how or how could I be ready for that? Does that feel different to you in your energy system? Throws up completely different questions inside yourself. How can I be ready for that? Most people aren't getting the results that they want in life because of energetic protection. So what is energetic protection? Have you ever been in your business and thought a similar thought to this? Fuck my life right now. Right? Something's happened in your business and you thought, fuck my life right now. Let me know. Kathy's saying yes. Loving that honesty, right? Let me know. Have you ever been like, oh God, like, oh God, like that? So about 2 hours ago, Charlie, big hugs. Not anymore, says Karen, but you know what I mean, right? You've been there, you know what I mean. So here's the thing. Imagine whatever caused that F my life vibes, right? Imagine we just turned up the volume on that to the max. How much do you think I cannot stand this it would create in your energy system? Right? So out of energetic protection, the universe sometimes holds a result back from you, because the truth is, if it gave you that result now, it would be a complete and utter F my life scenario, even though you want that result. Even though you're working towards that result, even though you're showing up like a motherfucker for that result, the universe looks at the situation and thinks, if I crank up the volume here, she is going to lose her shit. She's not ready. She's not ready quite for that result. We want to make her ready for that result, but she's not ready right now for that result. Equally, there is also clients that are being withheld from you because of energetic protection. That's not to say that you're not good enough for them and they're not good enough for you or anything like that. It's just to help you. And once you really, really understand the concept of you are not ready till you're ready, you'll stop asking why you're not getting a result, and you'll start to look for what will move me into a state of readiness. You know, what will move me into a state of readiness? So I'm going to give you an example. when I decided to put together the $1 million experiment and to get all the moving parts together, now I'd never done anything like that before in my life. It was quite nuts. It was quite insane. It was a real quantum leap for in my business. It was really insane to put a year-long offer for $25 and then offer a 50% affiliate fee. I'd never done anything like that. I'd never run an affiliate program really properly before. So I had to do loads of research on that. So the first thing that I did was I got myself into a state of readiness. That was the first thing that I got. The next thing that I started to do in capturing that situation and capturing that result that I got, which was my first $100,000 launch on a $25 product. So in order to create that, and in order to create that result, I started to move myself into a state of readiness, and I got that very, very quickly. I realized I need to put some sort of team in place. And I started to hire team members and people that could potentially do more hours later on down the line if we needed it. All of this was to capture this situation. I can honestly, hand on heart, tell you that if the $1 million experiment had happened just 6 months prior to when it happened, it would have been a complete and utter fuck my life disaster. It would have been horrific. Because not only did we increase a massive volume of people in our world, like massively, the volume of people increased in our world. So 4,300 people signed up to the experiment. 6 months prior to that, I would not have been ready to hold the space for that amount of people. 6 months prior to that, I would not have had the team to be able to absolutely rock that with me. It would have been all on me and my husband and my daughter Ellen, and we would have been drowning in people. But instead, I had a lovely team in place. So I had Leanne and Jen to help us, and we had support, like a support network around to be able to capture that result. And I started going into a deep, deep state of readiness to bring that in. Instead, what happened was that we surfed along like the surface of the excitement of the $1 million experiment, instead of being sucked under the waves and into the day-to-day issues. Like, I'll give you some examples of the issues that we dealt with in the $1 million experiment. I had a guy that emailed my team, not content with he emailed our team. I think it was probably about 11 o'clock at night. So my team worked Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So he emailed 11 o'clock at night. Because we didn't email straight away back, he emailed a further 4 times, insisting he must have a £25 refund on the $1 million experiment because we used the same branding colors as his local gym, and he thought he was getting the bargain of the century buying a $25, but he was in the UK, gym membership for his UK gym. So first of all, the currency was wrong. Second of all, it said $1 million experiment on every freaking web page that man visited. And he can't just email once, he has to email like a total of 5 times, which creates extra work for my team. And then we had to like process, and he needed that refund, and you know, we needed to like jump to it. And then when we didn't jump to it, we got persistently more and more abusive emails. If I'd had like a teeny tiny team at that point in time, and it was like me and my husband trying to deal with that, I think something like that would have really pissed me off so much. I feel like, you know, and that wouldn't have been fun to, you know, deal with. Instead, what we did in that situation was that we found it funny. It became a funny thing, you know? And in the end, the way that we dealt with situations like that, not taking them personally, because we knew it was nothing to do with personally. But I think if you were stressed to the max, trying to onboard everybody, trying to do everything, stuff like that would have like gone your nerves, right? But like in the end, we just had a competition every day of like who won the internet today, because we would have somebody that would literally just win the fucking internet on the day, you know? And that's how we dealt with it in humor, and we dealt with it in humor and like that. Had that been 6 months prior, where my team was much smaller, I wasn't ready to capture such an experience, it would have been so shit. It would have been so horrible. And every single one of these weird emails that we got, or people really getting upset over stuff, you know, would have been really, really difficult to deal with. And you would have probably ended up taking it personally. And, you know, and instead of it being super fun and super high vibe, it would have just been like, fuck my life. And this is one of the biggest lessons, has been of like not being ready for something. And I will guarantee you, if you don't have a result that you're currently striving for, currently wanting, the chances are you're not ready for it yet. But what can we do if we look at it instead of how did I get that result, or how did your mentors get that result, or how did those? A better question would be of what would move me into a state of readiness for that result. What would move me into a state of readiness for that result? The first time I put together a 5-figure offer, and I went and put it out into the world. And I'll share this with you guys as well. And I want to put it out into the world, and it was like crickets the very, very, very first time I put a 5-figure offer out. Crickets. And I sat and I thought, well, obviously I'm not ready then for a result of bringing in clients, 5-figure clients. So what is the situation here? And I realized I'd never invested 5 figures. Like, I'd invested 5 figures over a course of time, but never had I gone to one person and said, right, let's do this at this high level. Let's go and do that at that high level. So I decided that there was part of me in my first offer, when I put my first offer out, a 5-figure offer, that I was out of integrity, that it was difficult for me to code for those higher numbers, because guess what? I'd never done it myself. I'd never paid that money myself in one chunk and gone and been like, okay, let's do this thing. So I decided that's what I was going to do. So I hired a coach at a 5-figure investment. The investment was $15,000. And I hired that. And I realized in hiring that coach, I put myself in integrity with that result that I was desiring myself. Honestly, within 2 days of signing up with that coach, and I hadn't even met with that coach yet, but something had shifted and changed in the ether. And I got a lady jumped on the call. I was expecting to be talking about my Divine Planning Abundant Profits program, which is a $3,000 program. I was expecting to speak about that because that's what she had said on the little forum that she was interested in. And she jumped in not only in that program, but she jumped in my top coaching offer, which was then a 5-figure offer. And it was just like boom, boom, boom. And it was the easiest. I didn't even have to like let her know that I had it. She was telling me, she was like, and I see that you have this on your website. And I'm like, yes. And she's like, I think this is the one I want to go for. And I'm like, okay. And I realized how quickly that was moving, just because I had moved my energy. And then I was willing to do that. So therefore, I was now ready to receive that result. And I'm so grateful, not only for being all in on myself and being willing to sign up for that myself, but also as well. And now, I mean, that's something that's normal within my world now. or bringing in clients at that level, and enrolling high ticket clients and high ticket offers. And I still have all my other offers, like, we have things from $11 upwards in my world. So, but this is how we move ourselves into a state of readiness. Sometimes it's because we're not in integrity with it. Sometimes it's because if we were to crank up the volume, the idea of handling all of that would just suck so bad. And so the universe is like, no, love, that's not for you right now, until we can get ourselves into a state of readiness. And then what that might look like is you line somebody up to be a person, to help you on your team, or maybe, and I'll tell you some other lessons that I've learned from having a team. I wasn't very good with my team to start with, to be honest, because I find it really difficult to let other people play in my sandpit. So I really, really I was keeping all the jobs for myself. My team were like, Joanna, have you got anything for us to do? And I'm like, no, mine. And so that was a big, big lesson for me. And but the more that I was able to let go, and the more that I was allowing other people, like really allowing people to support me, the more that I allowed that, the more money I started making, the more clients I was able to take on, and the more clients I was able to work with and things like that. And more effortless it became as well. But before, it was hard to let go of control and let go of sometimes decision-making things within the business as well, and let other people who I'd hired make some of those decisions as well, And these are things to help you when you're stepping into that next level. And if you're talking about it and you're truly, truly ready, it's one thing to hire a team to support you. It's an entirely different thing to actually allow those people to actually support you. You think you've done the hard bit when you've hired them, and that's but you got to let go of control. You can't do all of it yourself, and you have to let these people support you as well, and let them do their jobs, basically. And in the early days, I was not ready for that, so I hung on tight, and actually I lost a really, really good employee for that very, very reason. Luckily, she came back for the $1 million experiment. She's still with us to this day, but now she's got a lot more to do. Whereas before, I was hired her to do a job, and then did her job and took all the work on, and didn't actually let her do the job that I had hired her for, And this is it. And again, I wasn't ready. And of course, during that time, I wasn't really seeing huge results in my business either, because I wasn't in a state of readiness to actually allow other people to support me. So how could the universe turn up the volume on all of it? How could the universe turn up the volume on what it was that I was actually doing if I wasn't letting people support me? So Jane's saying, yes, I need to allow others in my team to support me. Absolutely. It's a really, really huge thing. So how can I be ready for that? Because it's not happening means I haven't been ready yet. So if we start looking at the result of what if the universe is just protecting me? What if the universe has just got my back, which is why it's not giving me the result? Because if I got the result, I'd be the water would be up here, and my little nose would be under, and I'd be blub, 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 and I would be drowning instead of thriving. The universe wants to see you thrive. The universe wants to see you happy. The universe wants to see you wealthy, healthy, excited over life. It does not want you drowning in the crap of the day. Right? It does not want you drowning. It does not serve the universe. You are not serving the universe when you feel like you are not nailing life, right? The universe is served when you're nailing life. So the universe will always seek to help you. And this is one of the other key things. Sometimes the universe sends you agents to grow you. right? So not only, so if you've asked the universe for an experience and then the experience hasn't shown up, you're not ready, I will guarantee you that there will be agents of the universe in your world showing up. And what those agents of the universe are doing are probably getting you into a state of readiness. So the first time that I became aware of this was in the early days of my coaching business, so probably about 2016, 2017. And I had a client come in, and from day one, they were super demanding, like super demanding. Up until that point, I'd been working with clients that had, it had felt effortless, it had felt really easy, it had felt so easy. They changed appointments at last minute, which I don't have a problem with. Like if one of my clients, you know, one of my VIP clients is like, hey, something, you know, major's come up. And as long as they're respecting me and as long as they're respecting my time and things like that. But this was starting to be like, I don't mind doing it once or twice, you know, but like this was starting to become like an every session situation. I just started going into the vibes of a little bit F my life. And I realized this is an agent of the up level. And I realized as I got my notepad out, and you might be working with an agent of the up level right now, and get your notepad out and ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What is this teaching me? And I realized I had no rules in place for cancellation of calls. I had nothing. I had no terms, conditions, rules in place, nothing of that need. And I thought, well, if I'm going to increase the size of my business, and if I'm going to increase the size of my coaching and bring more coaching clients on board, these are very good freaking ideas to have in place, good boundaries in place, right? It's good boundaries. This woman was amazing. She found every weak boundary I had and then stomped on it. But that's not a bad thing, because I was learning. So weak boundaries over like my calls. I didn't have anything in place like, you need to give me so much notice. Didn't have that in place. Bet your ass I have that in place now. But that person was so crucial to my growth, because they just found every weak boundary I had and then stomped on it. And in the end, they put me in I could have been in a state of like, oh, F my life, this is so hard, this is so difficult. But instead I asked that question, what is this teaching me? And how can I get better as a result? What is this teaching me? And how can I get better as a result? And so I started placing into the things in place that would help me get better, that would also help me to future-proof my business to avoid situations like that in the future. And it gave me the strength to strengthen my business and to strengthen my boundaries and to strengthen. Well, with those next level boundaries in place, I started attracting in next level clients, people that I was like, holy crap, I couldn't believe that they wanted to work with me. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. That's so exciting. And I got really excited. But I know if I'd had not had that agent of the universe that had come in and, you know, 5 minutes to a session said, oh, I can't make it, I decided to go out for lunch. And I'd be like, okay, you know, and I had nothing in place to say that's actually not on, you know, until I had something like that in place to say that's not on. But it was beautiful learning. But often when we are encountering these agents, what happens is we get really into the victim story of it. We get really in and like, we're like, F my life, this is so hard. this person's really pushed my buttons, instead of like going, maybe this person's been sent by the universe to strengthen me. What if this person is exactly who I need to get into my state of readiness? And let me tell you, you have had no idea how many times I have thought about that woman and like just absolute like heart explosions of gratitude. Because it wasn't, it wasn't really her fault, right? Like, if the boundaries had been there, that wouldn't have gone down that way. But the boundaries were not there. So who's responsible for my boundaries? Me. I am. No one else. It's all me. Have you ever seen that Instagram like sound on Instagram, like, me, I'm the problem, it's me? That's what it was. I was the problem. But as soon as I tightened that up, I wasn't the problem anymore. Then it was like, oh, I'm really sorry, that's against our policy. It was so easy. It was just like that. And if they were up front and, my clients knew that up front and I knew that up front, it was all good. But I would never be able to coach at the capacity that I coach now had I never been through that, that level. So if we can look at that, and think, how's this strengthening me? So I used to see this pattern of energy appear in my life coaching clients again and again and again. They would ask the universe for something big, like massive, right? And then they would go through like what seemed like they would just move from drama to drama to drama to drama. And I'd be like, what the fuck is this? And in the end, I nicknamed it the Rocky montage. Have you ever seen the movie Rocky? And he's training for the fight of his life. And there's this big montage and he's skipping and he's running up and down steps and he's shadow boxing and he's doing all of this in the Rocky movie, right? This is what was happening to my clients, some of my life coaching clients that were going through their very, very own Rocky montage. And the drama, like drama after drama after drama after drama. And all it was doing was just strengthening them, making them stronger until they were like practically bulletproof. And at that point, the universe was like, now you're ready, And then at that point, that's when they would get the thing, the big manifestation would appear in their lives. But I knew, and they knew, had that manifestation arrived earlier, it would have been a shit show. But they had changed so much through all of those dramas and all of those things that they had navigated, sometimes with difficulty, but they had navigated them. It had strengthened them inside to a person that could hold their desired outcome effortlessly. And so I call that the Rocky montage. And a lot of people, so if you've asked the universe for a big thing, and then now you're wondering why the button pushers are showing up, or why there's agents, or why you're not receiving the result yet, we're not ready till we're ready. But don't be surprised if the universe doesn't put you into training day as well for it and start giving you the people that are going to test you in a way. Now, I don't believe that the universe tests us. People can test us, but the universe doesn't test us. The universe checks us. It's always checking where our energy is at. Is our energy ready for this? Is our energy open for this? Is our energy available for this? It's taking its cues from us. And how we deal with certain things has a bearing on it. And if we deal with things in effortless ease, then the universe might crank the notch up a little bit and try you at another level to see if you're working as well with that. But each time it's an opportunity for you to grow. It's an opportunity for you to expand. It's an opportunity for you to grow every single time as you're moving through that. But, don't be afraid of the Rocky montage. Right? The Rocky montage is what's going to get you ready. So don't be afraid. Like, dive in there, roll your sleeves up, get ready. Get excited for it. You know, there's times where within my team, we've recognized a situation within the business and we've been like, oh yeah, the up level's coming. And this is big. Like whatever thing's kicking off, if it's big, we know that the up level that's going to go with that is going to be huge. And it is every time. And so, you know, there's always going to be something new to navigate, even when you feel like you have made it, even though when you feel like you have, you know, you are making the money that you only once dreamt of, there's always going to be another challenge. And that's not to demoralize you and think, fuck, you never arrive. But there's always going to be like another level. You're always going to see another level. As you level up, you'll start to see more levels. You'll see levels you didn't even know existed. And that's, you know, and that's evolution, because we're all here for an evolutionary experience. We're all here evolving. And so as soon as we evolve into one level, we're going to be able to appreciate and see new levels and start to evolve towards that as well. But here's the thing, we're not ready till we're ready. And if we're not willing to embrace a message of that, how can we move ourselves into a state of readiness? And sometimes the state of readiness simply means that we're going to go all in and put the chips on the table, like I did back in 2015 when I made that first really, really big, bold move. And I decided, chips on the table, I'm going all in. Because one of the biggest things in the coaching industry is a lot of people, when they actually need a coach, that's not when they hire a coach. They hire a coach after they needed a coach. Right? Like they've already arrived somewhere and then they're like, yeah, now I'm going to hire a coach. And it's like, I remember one program I invested in, it was $2,000. The first year that I saw that program, I really wanted it. But I told myself the story, it was completely out of the realms of what was possible for me. So I didn't go for it. I didn't even investigate. I didn't even check out whether it was possible. I didn't even investigate. Then the next year, I sat on the fence and I hummed and I hawed and I hummed and I hawed and I hummed and I hawed and I hummed and I hawed. And should I do it? Should I not do it? And I could do it on a payment plan, but oh God. And I just didn't have the lady balls for it. So I didn't press the buy it now button and didn't do it. The third year, things had changed so much for me that I could afford to buy it. And not only could I afford to buy it, but I could afford to pay in full. So I did. First 2 weeks of that course, I felt ill, really ill, because I realized how fucking useful that course would have been 3 years earlier when I wouldn't even lick. And it had taken me 3 years to work out what was in that course, like by myself. And the course was 8 weeks long. And if you wanted to go faster, you could, because she gave you access to everything. And I realized as I was going through the course material, a lot of it I had really worked out myself, but it had taken me 3 years. 3 years of my life I won't be getting back. That's 3 years of earnings that I'll never make. And I was like, oh my God, I was green in the gills. And I knew, and I was like, how, like, I realized that like that first year where I wouldn't even go and investigate whether I could afford that course or not, that's when I should have bought it, because it would have pushed me on so much faster. And that's when I come back to Skylar's, you're not ready till you're ready, because otherwise I would have been stuck in beating myself up. But I had to just come back and realize, okay, well, I wasn't ready. But when I was ready to pull that trigger, but you know what? That in itself became a valuable lesson. And when I saw something that I really wanted from that point onwards, I said yes. and I figured out how we were going to do it afterwards. You know, I figured out how I was going to do it afterwards. But I said yes, because I realized that it was a form of self-sabotage to not allow myself to have the support that I wanted and desired. But then I was withholding it from myself. There was no one else withholding that support from me. I was withholding that support from myself. Not even looking, like when you don't even look and investigate, you see something you want and you don't even look and you don't even investigate whether you can make that happen or not. What is that? What signal are we sending to the universe in that moment? I want you just to think about that for a second. We desire the support, we want the support, but then no, not even going to look, not even going to figure out if that's feasible or not. You know, it is. And everything that we do is a signal to the universe. And the universe is either being signaled that we are in a state of readiness, or it's being signaled that we're not quite there yet. We're not ready yet. In which case it's also affecting our results. Everything will learn you. Everything will teach you. But the pace that you are moving at is a reflection of your own inner readiness to either do the thing or not do the thing. Does that make sense? So I'm seeing a question here. I think Jen posted a question here from Carol. Let me see if I can scroll back and find it. Did your husband agree? Mine is having stress related to me saying yes. My husband did agree on me purchasing that very first course that I purchased. But he didn't, to be honest, he didn't really get it in the same way that I got it. But he said to me, you know, I trust you. And if you really, really think that this is the right move for us as a family and for all of us, then let's do it. And that's what made, you know, that's why I did actually check with my husband. I think if you are in a relationship and, you know, I think it's important for the communication of that relationship, if you're going to spend what would be termed within your relationship as big money, I think it is a good thing to, even if it is your money, it's still a good thing to like speak with each other about it. And I did get his backing, but I know that he didn't quite get what, you know, like he was like kind of like saying, well, can't you learn that sort of stuff in a book and things like that. But for me, I wanted to also be part of the community, and for me it was all about vibration, really. It was all about being in the right vibes, and I knew that this program that I wanted to invest in back then was to get me in the right vibes. And I knew that the vibration was everything, because vibration is everything. And that's my number one thing now, that when I pick a mentor that I want, I always ask myself, you know, is this an energy that I wish to calibrate to? That's a really good question when you're looking for mentors. Is this an energy that I wish to calibrate to? You know, because that's what it is. You know, a lot of people, like back in the day when I was first buying courses, if they told me it had 20 workbooks and 15 videos, I'd be like, ooh, and I'd be all excited, you know, like, what stuff am I getting? Now I'm all about the container and the vibration, and I'm all about, you know, is this an energy that I wish to calibrate to? Is this an energy that I wish to expose my energy to and take some of that on? Because that's the unwritten thing, that when you come into that's why a lot of my containers like Divine Planning, Abundant Profits and LightWeb are very, very powerful containers, because the calibration portal, the portal that you're calibrating to, is of such a high standard. And that's what's elevating people, you know. So and that's why people are healing, in LightWeb, people heal very, very deep things in LightWeb and move through. And in Divine Planning Abundant Profits, it's an amazing calibration portal. But these are, in the 100, for instance, is an amazing calibration portal of stepping into that higher level, of being in that higher level. But do you want to be, who do you want to calibrate to? Because, they say that you become like the 5 people you spend most time with. I don't agree with the accuracy of that. I believe that we become like the 5 things that we give most attention to. So I lived in a small Highland town, and if I had become like the 5 people I hung around with, no disrespect to those 5 people, but I would still be broke today. What I did, though, was I purposely put myself in powerful rooms. I purposely put myself with people that inspired me. And I purposely gave a lot of my attention to that. And therefore, I created powerful calibration portals for myself, which helped me and my energy get into a state of readiness faster. And that's how a powerful mentor can collapse time for you, by helping your energy get into that state of readiness faster. And sometimes it's your own permissions that's lacking. When you see, I remember one of the most powerful things for me was seeing this woman, and she wrote this post, and I was reading the post and I was thinking, oh my Lord, that's a lot, and there was a lot going on in this woman's life. And I was thinking, wow, that's a lot. And I have to be honest, I was kind of judging her, and I was thinking, well, that I had just joined that program at that point. So I was still in that state of being really broke and not really making a lot of money in my business and things like that. And I thought, God, she's like a bit of a hot mess, and at least I'm not like there. And it temporarily made me feel better as I read that post. And I will be honest, I was judging, and I was thinking, 2 weeks later, the very, very same woman wrote in the group again, and this time she'd had a $67,000 launch. And I remember picking my jaw up off the floor and thinking, well, fuck. Because 2 weeks prior to that, she was having a meltdown and seemed a bigger hot mess than me, which had made me feel better temporarily. But then 2 weeks later, the woman had had a $67,000 launch. And that was the moment I decided that you didn't need to be any fancier than you currently were in order to make big money on the internet. That decision was game-changing for me. It was huge. Because I realized, like, she's got issues out of the kazoo, and she can still get a result like that. So if her, why not me? And that was a calibration portal all in one. And I am so grateful to the vulnerability of that woman, and the fact that that woman felt safe enough to post her hot mess, and then safe enough to post her win 2 weeks later. And I'm so grateful. And I know that the hot mess that she had posted 2 weeks prior to that, that was most likely her going through the absolute crucible of evolution. That was her going through all her own shit, slamming hard into her own crap, slamming hard into all of the fears, all of the, oh my God, as she was about to take that big leap in her life. And it is so incredible, like, when you see it like that, of how things shift for people. So yeah, and that taught me never to sit in judgment of anyone and think, wow, because I was just like, holy moly, how's this woman running her life? Then 2 weeks later, she blew me away, and I was just like, and I just remember a thrill moving through my body of thinking, if she can achieve this, I've got this, it's in the bag. But that mindset shift, if you can get into a mindset shift like that yourself, of where you feel like, this is possible for me too, because the universe is reflecting your vibration back to you. So if you're sat there thinking, this is never going to happen, I'm never going to get the results that I want. But the moment your brain switches over into, holy shit, I think this is possible for me too, that's the moment it becomes your truth. And as soon as it becomes your truth, it will become your reality. I think it was Winston Churchill that once said that you cannot succeed if you secretly hope that, secretly think that you will fail. And I think this is it, if you get rid of failure, then you're never going to have to sit and secretly think you're failing in the first place. So there's a first smart move for you to do. But secondly, it is realizing that powerful calibration portals will take you to powerful places, and putting yourself in the room with powerful people who have created results that you desire, people who have gone before you, will help you to collapse the time frame on what it is that you're learning to do. But you've got to be open to the calibration. You've got to be available for that calibration in your world. Because if you're not, then it's just like sitting next to somebody on a bus stop and you don't speak to each other. The calibration happens in the interaction and the being part of something amazing. So I am going to wrap up there, but I hope that you've enjoyed today's transmission of light. If you have not been on Amazon yet, like Charmaine, who has just had her delivery of her 2 journals, these are 2 really, really powerful manifestation tools that I highly recommend. So the 111 Magic Journal is 111 entries for things that you desire to manifest in your life, experiences that you want to have, and things like that. So it's really, really good. And then the Gratitude Journal she is so beautiful. I'm going to give her a little flick through so you can see. It's a 2-in-1 light tool. You've got a page for writing your 10 gratitudes each day. And then on this page here, you've got a full color quote. This one says, I am powerful beyond measure. So these are affirmations. They're all tried and tested affirmations. These are affirmations that I have literally all been using in years. I know that they work. I know that they're really, really powerful affirmations, and you can work with these affirmations. So you get an affirmation a day and a page a day to pop in. And then at the beginning of the book, we have a little explanation of all the different ways that you can work with gratitude and affirmations in here, and why gratitude is such a powerful tool. This one here has quotes throughout, and then it has all numbered pages. And in these numbered entries, you just pop in what you want to manifest, and then you can put in when you completed it here as well. So it ends up as a bit of a record of everything that you've manifested and brought into yourself. So those are available on Amazon right now. Unfortunately, they're just available in the UK and in the US. For some reason, Amazon didn't allow us to open up the European markets. So I hope we'll get them available in Europe very, very soon for you guys. But Jen's just popped in the little journal there. And we have got a couple of spots open in the 100. So if you want to join the 100 inquiry group, all you have to do is reach out to Team Hunter, and they will give you a little application so you can go and check out what's in the 100. It's my 1-year program. So you get support with me for the whole year in the 100, and you get access to all of our programs. So everything, you get access to all the things. The 100 are here to be big change makers and leaders, and creating a new paradigm, not only for ourselves first and foremost, but then creating that ripple effect out from ourselves. So as we change our lives, we go ahead and start to help others to change their lives with our beautiful sacred messages within the 100. You will get to walk alongside some really, really incredible women. One of my 100 ladies last month had a $600,000 month. So that was in her family business, which is amazing. We had loads and loads of really cool things happen in the 100 to my 100 ladies last month. It's a powerful container. It's a powerful calibration portal for sure. So if you are interested in that, then do reach out, and my team can give you all the information on the 100. And I just wish you all the very, very, very best. In fact, I'm going to have dinner with one of my 100 ladies today because she's up in Inverness visiting. So I am going out for dinner with her tonight. So I'm really, really excited about that. So I hope you have a really, really great rest of your day, and keep shining your light, keep showing up, and know that failure is not an option, because you're going to keep on going, keep on shining. It doesn't even exist. It's just an illusion. And I know that if you're on this call, that it means that you are here for greatness, that you're here for something bigger than yourself, and that you're here to become a way shower of the light and to share that light that's inside you with others. And just keep going, just keep shining the light. I know that it's not always easy, but I can tell you for sure that it will be worth it. I will speak to you soon. Bye now.